sales in Vizag is like defined by men. And men, Telugu men, language barrier, all 45 plus. And I was literally the only girl in the office. And I had to travel to the remotest villages on a cycle with the salesman to understand the sales patterns, etc. It was a very tough decision because it was an extremely well-paying job.
Right.
It was one of the highest-paying jobs off campus at that time, and into an FMCG sector. I would probably become a brand manager,
Right.
Going forward. And that was what I had envisioned when I had taken my admission in a B school. We bought fabrics from an exhibition worth 50,000, and the idea was that ये fabric हमें ही इतने पसंद है that even if they don't sell, we don't mind. We'll wear it off. Our first reel had hit 1 million views in a span of 4 days, and our saris were sold out in 1.5 days. And that kind of really changed the game for us.
Alright, so here we are with another interesting video for you in this very special property that we are starting, which is called Konversations Cafe Podcast Edition. You are going to see a lot of these conversations in the upcoming weeks as we select people, talk to them, and tell you about the journey and stories of people in the world of business. And today in front of me is Lekhinee Desai. She has a very, very interesting story to share. It's a homegrown brand that she and her mother have collaboratively developed, and it's all started with just 50,000 rupees.
Yes.
Right? And we are going to know more about your story, Lekhinee. Thank you very much for finally coming and talking to us.
Thank you so much, Paul, for inviting me. And I'm really excited to be here with InsideIIm. I remember during my college days, really referring and, all the blogs and the content back then. So it's like life has taken a full circle and I'm here. So really excited to be here.
Lekhinee, when I was doing research, and these days this is the norm. The first thing that you do when you research about someone is go to their Instagram profiles and check what their life update is. And a very interesting thing that I read there was, you're a equal part entrepreneur, equal part dancer. What you are more and what you enjoy doing more? Is it the entrepreneurship part or the dancing part?
The bio, I think, says it all. I am an equal parts an entrepreneur and a dancer. In my mind, in my heart, I think both hold equal places because, I've grown up dancing, and I've spent most of my life dancing, so it's really close to my heart. And but in terms of time right now, obviously business takes the chunk of the share. But I think the best part about being in business today, and because we are an online first brand and we have a large digital presence, is that you can marry both the interests. So I think I've found a way in which I can dance more and that can help me with my business outcome. And that's why you see a lot of our dance reels in our brand's clothing.
Has business come to you very naturally while growing up? Tell me a little bit about your past, your journey as a kid. How excited were you with these kind of things? Have you seen people doing business very closely?
Honestly, this was actually the one question I used to ask my mom, कि मम्मी लोग business कैसे करते हैं? Because I don't come from a family of businessmen. It's not a business family that I've grown up in. In fact, my entire family, like the entire bloodline, is in a creative field. So my uncle Neeraj Hora he's written the best movies that you can remember, like Hera Fairy, Fir Hera Fairy, Hangama. My brother is a director. My grandmother has been a classical singer. My sister is also into acting and dancing. So my entire family is like really, really connected is very inclined creatively. So, while growing up, that's what my parents have always put me in. So, while growing up, both my sister and I have acted in a lot of ads, serials, movies. I've done about 80 ads when I was
Wow,
young.
give me one example.
Yeah,
I'm happy to go back and watch one of these.
I have done an Esteem ad. I have done a Colgate ad, Esteem ad with Rajat Kapoor, IFB washing machine, Clinic Plus, lots of brands back then as a child actor, and small cameos in like Adalat. And I've also acted in a movie called Khiladi 420 with Akshay Kumar, where I was a child actor. And I mean, so that's been my journey. So business was, you know, it was never on the anvil. So I was always going to become an actor or a dancer. And but I was also really good at academics. You know, I'm definitely not the smartest kid in the room. I might not be like the number one, the topper, but I was always like in the top 10, top 15. And I mean, not inherently very intelligent, but I consider myself really hardworking.
Tell me one thing, I mean, कैसे समझ कैसे आया या फिर पता कैसे चला BBA करना है MBA करना है? How did that happen in the journey?
Good question. Honestly, you know, when I was in college, I was majorly into dancing and acting, but I also realized that I came from a middle class family, you know. Unless you are there, like, I don't know, it's like, it's very difficult as an artist to really, you know, make money very easily unless, you know, you have like a flourishing a career going by your side. So it was always at the back of my mind that, you know I really want to do this, but I don't know, you know, whether I will be able to make money. And that was also very important for me because I was really keen on supporting my family financially.
Right.
So which is why I thought that yes, you know, dancing, acting is can happen on the side, but I also need to focus on studies in case this doesn't work out, like a backup. So which is why I did BMS. And then I worked for 2 years at Great Place to Work as an analyst. And then I decided to do my MBA because, I mean, that was the logical transition to do. And I got admitted into NMIMS. And post that, I got, I was working as an intern at ITC, and then I got a pre-placement offer. So then I joined them full-time as an area sales manager in Vizag. And I mean, that's how business happened.
So, tell me, Lekhinee, your first job that you took up after your B school, how was that life like? Were you feeling comfortable? You were in Vizag. I think there was a problem with language as well, I'm assuming, and it was a sales role, if I'm not wrong, that you were in. So, how was that life like, and did you feel like I am in the right spot right now?
I think my experience with ITC was, I think it was a watershed moment in my life in terms of a lot of things. It's like, A, I learned so many things, and B, I understood what I didn't want and what I wanted. And that was a really defining moment for me because that's what really made me quit a career path that I was going to take and move to being an entrepreneur. It was an extremely difficult time. You know, as you mentioned, it was a sales role. And sales in Vizag is like defined by men. And men, Telugu men, language barrier, all 45 plus. And I was literally the only girl in the office in like I think a setup of around 50-60 men. And I had to travel to the remotest villages on a cycle with the salesmen to understand the sales patterns, etc. Extremely difficult, but I think it taught me a lot about consumer psychology, the buying pattern, and I think I wouldn't have learned or understood how to use Excel if it wasn't for ITC. I wouldn't have understood the need to look at data to take decisions.
Right.
And I think it helped. It was so difficult, but I think it helped me in so many ways to develop lens to look at business and take decisions. So although I got the PPO, the business started exactly when I got admitted to the B school. And so it was on at that time, and I was managing it remotely while I was working with ITC. And I could see that the business was really picking up. And with me just taking efforts remotely, and my mother being in Bombay, really managing everything. I mean, at 55, she learned computers. कभी भी उन्होंने computer use नहीं किया था. So and now she knows how to manage Shopify and the website
Wow.
at like pit pat. She knows it better than any of our team members that work with us. So it was a watershed moment for her, because that really pushed her to do something at 55 which she had never done and which she had never thought she'll do or learn. And it helped me, kind of take a decision. It was a very tough decision because it was an extremely well-paying job.
Right.
It was one of the highest-paying jobs off campus at that time, and into an FMCG sector. I would probably become a brand manager,
Right.
going forward. And that was what I had envisioned when I had taken my admission in a B school. So it was what I wanted when I got into the B school. But when I went on the job, and when this opportunity of the business, when Indian Ethnic Co was really taking shape at that time when I was working there. So that kind of, made me feel that nahi, this is not what I'm meant to do. And I really connected with the brand when I was in Vizag. So it was a very crucial moment in my life. And I realized that being remote, if I could grow the brand to this level. So, before I joined ITC, we didn't even have a website at that time. And we were doing about hardly 20 lakhs a year. And there was a period between me leaving B school and joining ITC. We had a 2-month break. That's when I thought that, manually selling on Instagram and Facebook won't be possible, because I'm going to be like doing sales and on the ground. And our parents of that age, they're not very technologically savvy or socially savvy to execute and respond to customers. So that's when I thought that I have to start a website. Literally after having the website started, the brand scaled from 24 to 24 crores, 24 lakhs annually to 1 crore annually. So it was like a 5x jump with me working with ITC.
Right.
So that's when I thought that, remotely managing a business, if I could grow it this way, then if I dedicate 100% of my time, I need to see it through.
Right.
Like, I don't want those regrets, right? But it was also a question of, it was a risk that I was taking, because here there was a well-paying job.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that much experience. I was just about to complete a year. So if I leave this job, if my business fails, then getting back into a career at an FMCG company would not be possible. Like, I would have to forget it. So those were the questions in my mind that were going, that, this was a big risk that I'm taking, because if I'm out of it, I'm out of it.
Interestingly, you mentioned that you probably would have become brand manager at ITC or some other FMCG company if you would have continued. But interestingly enough, you did become a brand manager of the brand that you guys created.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the origin story of it. You were saying that your mother actually started this because she was passionate about it. And there's a lot of investment that comes in when we are talk about a D2C brand or a homegrown brand, right? So how did the journey start for you guys, essentially?
As I mentioned before, I consider myself an entrepreneur by accident, because this was not something that we had planned. And there is a little backstory to how this brand became the brand it is now. And it's about my childhood, it's about my mother. And while we were growing up, my sister and I, we were always into acting and dancing, as I mentioned. And my mother had this amazing knack. She was always very creative, and she always knew, she had an extremely good aesthetic sense. So when she got married and came from Ahmedabad to Bombay, she had her flourishing practice. She had a workshop, so she was designing clothes for the likes of Alka Yagnik and Kavita Krishnamurti. So she had a flourishing designing practice, fashion practice going on before we were born. And I clearly remember her telling me that, "Mummy, please workshop par nahi ja. Like, don't go to the workshop." And that's when it hit her that, she literally had to stop it and spend time with us. So overnight, she, I don't know how she did it. Maybe at this point in time, I don't think I'm that selfless to do it. But she left her practice overnight and dedicated her time in making both my sister and I who we are today. 2016 was the year, when I got admitted to my B school, and my sister got admitted to her medical college, and that's the time when she thought that my kids are grown up. Life's come to a full circle. I have no one to look after. Um, and I think I've done my fair share of taking care of them. And that's when she thought that now I need something to, work towards. Like I want to do something which gives me meaning in the latter part of my years. So then I told her that, Mom, you should just do what you do best, which is creating great clothes. Why don't you just do that? You were doing it back then. You can still do it now. I mean, the time has changed, but you still have it in you. Yeah. And that's also exactly the time when Instagram shopping was really taking shape. So it from becoming like a photo sharing platform, it was turning into like where these small mothers, home businesses were, starting to sell manually, 2016. So that's when I thought that, let me help her with this. It's a good time to do this with a minimum investment, and it was like a cheap experiment. Honestly, that's what we call it, because we bought fabrics from an exhibition worth 50,000, and the idea was that ये fabric हमें ही इतने पसंद है that even if they don't sell, we don't mind, we'll wear it off. And that's exactly how, one fine day I created the page on Instagram and Facebook, and I had my sister. If you see the first few photos, it's literally लीकेज जस्ट हुआ है बारिश का, पपड़ी है घर पे, और वो डोर नॉब के पास वो खड़े रह के, आई डोंट नो व्हाई बट आई हैव कट ऑफ हर फेस आल्सो. It's a faceless photo with a terrible background with just the clothes, and you will not believe, with doing absolutely nothing, in sitting in the corner of our bedroom with such minimum investment, by just creating a page on Instagram, we sold our first garment like literally in the first few days of being live. Our first customer ordered from Goa and the second one was from Kerala, and we were like, oh my god, we've done literally nothing. Right. And that kind of started the journey, and we stuck to it, and we were really motivated after those two sales, and we started creating more garments, and on we had an iPhone. We started clicking photos using that, so it had really great quality, and we did not even have to invest in photography, and my sister was modeling, so it would either be in the backyard or in our house or in the terrace. But the brand started picking up, a big time, and literally from 100 to 10,000 to 50,000 followers. I mean, it just started gaining traction, and I think the product really spoke for itself here. And that's why it didn't matter how the photos were clicked, on who they were clicked, where they were clicked, how was the quality. But I think that's the power of digital. The first 2 years we just did it very organically, without any advertising, if you would say, by just being present consistently on social media and uploading regular products and updates very regularly. But that time the story was really different. There were fewer brands who were selling on Instagram. The organic reach was extremely good. We used to get consistently good orders. I mean good for the kind
because
of
it was
work that we
starting
were
at
doing.
that time as well, and people found it to be a new kind of a practice.
Exactly. So it was great. I mean, in terms of the money that if we compare it with what we are doing now, it's nothing. But it was extremely motivating for us, because हम ऐसे तो मतलब it was not an thoughtful action for some business that we were doing, and we were doing good numbers. We were making like 4-5 lakhs a month, which was, my mother was very happy with that.
We decide that we want to build a brand. We start selling online, and we think that eventually it will become bigger, right? But there are so many of these people who are thinking probably who are watching right now, are thinking right now that we have a product, we have a skill, we want to sell to the world. But not everybody becomes a brand, right? And it's important for you to understand how to create your product into a brand. How did you leverage social media, if I have to ask you, to reach that status of making InsideIIm a brand?
I realized that just making the website was not enough. It needed people. It needed to reach out to more people. So digital marketing was something that is going to be very crucial for this, and digital marketing happening via Facebook and Instagram through the paid tools. and not just reaching organically. So that became very crucial, and I got myself to learn digital marketing in whatever time I had, and then I started testing paid marketing strategies on Facebook and Instagram, and that's what led us to really move from that bracket of doing 24 lakhs annually to a crore. You know, I see a lot of these small businesses that are starting on Instagram. The reason why they've not been able to, stand the test of time is also the lack of consistency in what they do. It's not about motivation when you're running a business, honestly, because motivation will come and go, but it's the discipline and the consistency with which you keep doing what you do every single day with the belief that it will fructify one day. And the environment is really getting really very, very dynamic. So when we started the business, we could reach more people organically via photos. But now the ecosystem has completely moved and it's skewed to videos. So if you are still a brand that is not doing videos but only doing photos, you're not going to reach, you're not going to reach people, you're not going to be relevant. So I think really being very agile and knowing what is really happening in the environment, and trying to do it in whatever way possible. You know, you don't need to have a good camera, a team to really do, or models for that matter.
Absolutely, and I think your brand is a testament to the fact that how important digital is and how important digital marketing and learning digital marketing is. And for the same reason, we have a course on Altuni on digital marketing, a certification course in digital marketing in association with HUL, where we tell exactly the kind of things that you have lived through in this brand, starting from influencer marketing to content marketing to understanding how creative writing works and how you can shape your business up. People who are interested in this, please check the course, the link of which is in the description, and learn more about this. Tell me your first reel story.
So September 2020 was the month when we were launching sari as a category on the website. So before this, we were known as a brand that just sells kurtas, and we really wanted to break that, and we wanted to launch another category on the website, which is saris. And I was like, saris to bahut log kar rahe. We have bigger brands like Nalli's, who've been there for years. And the idea was that how do we really break the clutter at that time? By saying that Indian Ethnico has arrived with saris. And that was also the time when TikTok got banned in India, and Instagram just launched Reels because of that.
Yeah.
And I realized that yes, video is going to become like a crucial part to this. And so it was like a junction where we were launching a category, and we also had to leverage video and see how we can put to use for the brand, because that's something we had not done before. And so again, it was shoot day, and as usual, I had my friends come in to model for the brand, and it was my sister, and we were just having like a day, gossiping, laughing. And then my father was like, why don't you all, since all you girls are Odissi dancers and you all are here for the shoot, why don't you all just dance in a sari and create a reel? We were like, wow, this is a great idea. वो reels भी, मतलब video भी बन जाएगा और सारी भी अच्छी तरीके से launch हो जाएगी. The song's name was Kangnare, and we created the choreography in 15 minutes, and we literally shot it on our phone kept on a tripod in a static way, and the shoot was done in 15 minutes. We uploaded the reel the next day, and our first reel had hit 1 million views in a span of 4 days. And our saris were sold out in 1.5 days. And that kind of really changed the game for us. And that started a trend of dance marketing, of girls dancing in a sari. And I'm really proud that we were the first brand to actually get dance marketing into fashion. Because till then, there was every brand was leveraging fashion influencers, etc. But no one had thought that dance or fashion ka kuch, they can marry, and that can be a thing. And suddenly we had the likes of all the bigger brands that I wouldn't want to name, literally poaching my friends to do reels for them. And
they did not reach you.
There was one brand that had the audacity to reach out to me. But I think he didn't know I was the co-founder of the brand. And dancing in sari became really cool. You know, sari as a garment became really cool, because before that it was all about sari is for a special occasion, sari is for older women, and then suddenly you had a set of girls, and the age, the group that we are. My sister was back then, she was 21, 22. I was 27. I had another friend who was 30. So we had like an amalgamation of age groups, all of us wearing a sari. And we so basically the saris that we were selling, the USP was that they are so light, they are so soft and breezy, you can easily dance in them. At the range of things that you can do, you will feel comfortable, but you will also be able to dance in a sari. And that kind of really, I think, I don't know, hit the nerve. And we had so many young women then creating content on saris, and saris had suddenly become cool on the internet. And we were also approached by Instagram, the official Instagram account, and they featured we created a reel for Women's Day. And they featured it on their international account, which has close to over 500 million followers. And that reel had hit like close to 50, 80, 100 million views, and we got orders from literally from countries that I can't even pronounce the names. We've not really created a really fancy store with the best of interiors, because we also want to test how it is going to work for us before we scale. So it's also about testing these mediums, understanding what levers will work for you. So marketplaces are also doing really well. We are doing very well on Nykaa Fashion. And when we started off, I mean, the efforts and the payoffs were not really matching, but it's also about how much time that you spend on a certain platform. It's also about how much time you give to a certain channel that you're working on, and let it grow and, you know, see, and then decide, you know, where you really want to place your bets. So 15 crores was something that we hit 2 years ago. And this year we have a run rate of about 30 crores. So we've grown 2x in the past 2 years with all the chaos that the iOS changes, etc. created.